Ask me how many times they go eat at McDonald's. Ask me how many times they just sit around
eat at McDonald's
and watch.
because they working at McDonald's to help pay.
Ask them
for
how many times
their
they sit around and just do Netflix and chill. Ask them how many times they be like, you know what? I'm not going to work out today. They got a routine and they stick to it and they sacrifice and they put in the work and they get the results.
Today's theme is it's winning season. Are you prepared to win for your small business, or you just gonna be nonchalant and take what comes your way? You know me. First place I went when we started thinking about this topic.
Dictionary.
So when we look at the word background of the word win, it means be victorious. It comes from circa 1300. That's a long time. And it's a fusion of the Old English word winan, which means to, what happened? Winan, W-I-N-N-A-N.
I'm not, okay, go.
Which means to labor, toil, struggle for, work at, strive, fight. And it's also a portion of the word Gwinan, G-W-I-N-N-A-N, which means to gain or succeed by struggling, conquering, obtaining, both from the Proto-Germanic winan, which means to seek to gain. So there are a lot of people walking around in business that aren't trying to win because they're not trying to toil, struggle. They're not trying to gain. They're not trying to obtain victory. Is that you?
But winning, like everybody has a different definition for winning.
People have a different definitions for winning, but
And some
the
people-
book definition is to be victorious.
Oh, okay.
So if your definition is not to be victorious, then maybe you need to use another word to describe what you're trying to do in your business.
Well, the question is, what do they consider? Figuring out what you consider victorious and then framing your business or whatever you want to do around that versus framing it around what you see the masses doing or other people in that industry doing.
Right. So I'm not going to talk about anybody else. I'm going to talk about myself as a business owner, because when I started thinking about, do we really play to win? Are we out here?
So are you Winan, or what's the word again?
Winan or Gwinin?
Are you Gwinin Winan in your business?
No.
Okay. Then why not? Because I'm saying I need me a summer home. So why are you not Gwinin and Winan so I can get me a summer home? I need to hear this explanation right now.
So when I stopped to look at what we're doing here at Johnson Security, we are not using a consistent sales process to be victorious in terms of our growth plans. So in that respect, we aren't winning. We're not training to win because the successes that we have sometimes are haphazard. Sometimes it's because of what we've done in the past. We get a lot of referrals. But if we were, I would dare say, more intentional, had a strategy, and then worked out that strategy every day and had the whole team on board, we would see very different results.
Okay. I do not disagree with that.
Right. What about the soapbox?
So can we get that happening? Because I want to scratch the summer home. I want another investment property. So can we get that going on and winning going on at JSB?
Okay, sure.
Okay, cool. So now what was your question?
What about the soapbox? Can you say that you have an intentional winning strategy, that you have a path to victory, that you consistently execute upon at the soapbox?
No.
Why not?
A few hours later.
We
have a strategy, but is it ideally where I want it to be, or is it ideally producing the results that we want? No. So, and is it totally integrated with the other components? So we have some stuff going on with email. We have some stuff that goes on with direct marketing, like, direct mail, et cetera, et cetera. And then we're taking a step back to say, how do we, and then we have some people on the phone doing some, I don't want to say cold calls, but it's more like a warm call. So we're looking at, like, we've gotten some success from each one of those, But how do we put all those pieces together so we could amplify the effect that they have, and then have them work in some type of unison? So it's just not like randomly there's, a piece of direct mail that gets mailed out, or someone makes a couple, phone calls. Then there's something going out by email, and, whatever we're doing on social. And now we're working on some stuff with SMS, and then things that go on locally in the community, like the sponsorship that's going on this weekend, et cetera. So we need to get better. And how do we tie all these things together so they're complementing and reinforcing each other? So when someone sees us on Facebook and they live in the neighborhoods that we serve, and then they get something in the mail or they get an email, they see there's a connection between what they're doing. So right now stuff is like, I guess the best way to put it, it's
disjointed. It's
fragmented, yeah. Mm-hmm. And we need to better connect it so the potential client or the current client, when they see a piece of advertisement, they get a consistent experience throughout those different mediums that we're reaching out to them with.
Right. So when I tried to draw the parallel between winning in business and winning in the Olympics for the team, I painted the picture of a harvest, right? If you go into the garden, you plant your seed, you till the field, or you do whatever, and you maintain it. And then once you see the fruit that it's produced, you reap the fruit, right? And so with our athletes, like take, for example, Simone Biles. As a child, somebody got her started in gymnastics. She would train. She had a coach who would watch her development. She would go to different competitions and compete. And then with each level, she had to compete higher, faster, better. And then that's how she made it to the Olympic stage. And now that makes her, as a result of the work that she put in, that makes her one of the most decorated women's gymnasts. But something to keep in mind for our business owners, this was not an overnight success, that this was decades in the making, that she had a team, that she had coaches, that she didn't just rely on her own devices and information that she had herself. So there are a lot of lessons that you can take from our Olympic athletes to figure out what it's going to take for you to win in your business. One other thing is, you look at Simone Biles, and she's been in the spotlight for a while because she really is a GOAT. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's greatest of all times. But once she competes, when she gets on the beam, she finishes that routine, there's no going back. There's no doing over. There's no do-overs. So you have to perform once you hit that stage. So you do all of this preparation in advance. When you get there, you show up, you perform, and then that's where the results are seen. It's nothing that's going to come to you overnight. So like Cope mentioned, you have to be intentional, consistent, and whatever you're doing, those activities need to be integrated so that you can find success.
But the real discussion is, what's going on behind the scenes? What are people doing? What are you doing? What am I doing? What do you do in the business that needs to be done on a consistent basis to produce the results that you want to achieve? So it's not just about putting a sign up or putting an ad online or opening up the door. And then all of a sudden, or I create a LinkedIn profile and says, oh, wow, I'm incorporated. Now I'm in business. There's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes behind that to get you to one of those points. And I think that's another piece that's not discussed in these conversations, especially in this day and age with this whole quit your job, start a business culture that's out there. And I see it on a lot of profiles. I hear people talk about it, but I hear none of them talking about what really goes on behind the scenes. I don't hear anybody talking about payroll taxes.
I don't hear anybody payroll taxes.
I don't hear nobody talking about sales tax. I don't hear anybody.
They don't pay no sales tax.
I don't hear them talking about, managing your chart of accounts. Like, I don't hear any of that. It's just like, you should quit your job because if you're doing it, whatever, you're doing it for somebody else, you could do it for yourself. And that is. There's
some truth to that. There is truth to that.
There is some truth to that, but you need to understand one thing. When you decide to open up a business, you're about to work for the craziest motherfucker you've ever met,
And that's you.
That's you. You're working for yourself. So you're going to be like, I got to do this. I got to do that. And if you can't separate you being the boss versus you building a business, you will get caught in a hamster wheel. Been there, done it 1,000 times. And I'll give you a straight fact. How often did I used to go to the store, to the soapbox, and to the laundromat before?
Every day.
Right. How often do I go now?
Maybe twice a week.
Maybe twice a week, but at a minimum once a week. Business, being in business versus building a system runs whether we're there or not. Do I get phone calls and some emails every now and then? Hell yeah. Nowhere near as much as I was there. I'd be there. I stop there in the morning, come here, go back in the evening, sometimes not come here and be there like half the day, all day. It's a huge difference. And when you figure that shit out in your business and flip the switch, it's a totally different dynamic. And not only will you see a change in what you're doing in yourself, you're going to see a change in the revenue that come through the door, because now you're standing back looking and saying, how do I get it from whatever this dollar figure is to the next dollar figure? Because now you're stepping back and looking at all the details. You're not just in there saying, I'm trying to get from opening to closing. Because that's the difference. Like when you're trying to just survive, you're like, oh, all right, somebody didn't come to work, or this happened. I got to do this. Or I got to bake the pies, or I got to pack the boxes that got to get shipped out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You're just trying to survive the day, versus when there are people delegated to do those roles, when you get to that point to hire people, or you create this structure and create a system yourself to say from day one, yeah, I'm going to be doing all this. But when I get to day 35, my virtual assistant is going to do this. Because by day 35, I'm going to have 2 clients, and that is going to produce this much revenue. And you know what? I'm going to tell everybody I was hanging out with on day 1, when I decided to start this business, like, I can't go, because I got to take that money and put it into this. Or I'm not going to buy this new thing, because you know what I got does just fine, because I'm going to take that revenue and put it into the business. So now I can go from a virtual assistant to hiring someone who's actually on my team, who now can touch the product or whatever the case might be and is familiar with it. And they're going to have a dedicated responsibility in a role to say, this is what you execute on, and this is what you're going to be held accountable for. And now those things I can step away from and focus and look at the business from the outside to say, okay, Jack is doing those things that I used to do. I see Jack does it this way. Jack gives me some input. Okay, Jack, let's tweak it this way to make that better. And then production improves on Jack's side, because now you're not doing it. And hopefully now it's increasing some of your revenue. So then you go and say, okay, now I'm focusing on these things because Jack is focused on that. So now I can get these things going better. That's less attention I got to pay over here. And then revenue increases again. Okay, who can I bring in now to take some of these things off my plate? Don't make the mistake and hire one team member and think everything you're doing, you're going to dump on them, because like, oh, they were doing this, this, and this, but they got free time now. So you know what, Jack, answer the phone. Oh, you know what, Jack, you could pack the boxes. Oh, Jack, you could clean the windows. Or Jack, no. Give Jack a certain amount of things to do that Jack is going to do well, and leave it there. And then move on to the next stage and then grow it.
There's one thing I've noticed in the Olympic athletes I know, as well as just athletes in general, many times there's a level of discipline that is unseen in many other areas of life. And so for your business to consistently win, you're going to have to be disciplined about what steps you take and how you run your business. And kind of to piggyback off of what Waleed just said, are you focused on those high value activities that only you can do? That's where you should focus your time and attention.
Oh, that's a mistake right there.
What?
Because if you're building a business and you think you're the only one that can do it, you're and think about how many small business owners you know or you've heard say the conversation, oh, I can't find anyone as good as me to do this, or my customers come to the business because of what I provide. That's bullshit. And that's like, I was caught up in that at the store. I'd be like, oh, I got to be there to solve the problem, all this. And their owners would think, oh, I have to be there to serve the customers. They're not going to get the same. That's bullshit. And Harvey is a true testament to that. I go to the
shout out to Sean Harvey.
I go to the box now. People come in and have developed a relationship with her because she's delivering the service the way it's supposed to be. And the next person who's behind the counter does the same thing and develops a relationship with you. If you think for 1 minute that your business, if you have a business, is running because of you, then you're not building a business. Let's be absolutely clear. Because I don't remember when went wrong at McDonald's, I don't think Ray Kroc ever showed up to be like, oh, you're missing a pickle on your burger? Let me make you a new burger. Fact, right? I don't think.
And Jamie Dimon is giving you.
I don't think Jamie Dimon is showing up at somebody and be like, oh, you shortchanged me $1 when you cashed my check. I don't think Jamie Dimon pops up from behind the teller's window and be like, oh, here's the extra $1. Let me recount that for you and make it right. I just don't think that happens. I don't think whoever. My man, I forget his name, Chick-fil-A, he's still alive, the owner.
No, Truett Cathy, he passed away, his son, Dan.
Right, his son is still running it. But so, I said Ray Kroc, but he's gone. So, but the son is still running Chick-fil-A. If you go to Chick-fil-A in, I don't know, what's the closest one? Secaucus or something to us in Jersey? Okay. Oh, no.
There's one on 86th Street.
There's two or three in Manhattan. Yeah. There's one in Brooklyn. If we have an issue there, I don't call up, was it Dan?
Corporate, Dan Cake, yeah.
I don't call up Dan and then he pops up and be like, oh, sorry, we didn't put your waffle fries in the bag, and he gives me another one. Because it's not you. And if it is you, respect, love it. But let me tell you, when you don't feel like going to work, or when you sick, or you don't feel like doing this, and notice I said going to work, and you're going to be like, but Waleed, I have a business. No, you're going to work because you haven't built a system that leverages people to deliver a great experience to them. Like, I don't think Mr. Marriott shows up at all the hotels to check people in or fix a problem for them.
Well, they have a new CEO. Their CEO passed away not long ago.
I mean, but when he started and had multiple, in the beginning, somebody's probably out there like, well, you shut the fuck up. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, in the beginning, there's going to be you to start it. But if you don't take the mindset not even the mindset, you don't plan to say, how does this thing work without me and still deliver exceptional results? Then you're not building a business. You're not in business. You got a hobby. No disrespect, because you can make money with a hobby. You got a hobby, and I got some hobbies because I be selling on eBay. That's a hobby. Let me be absolutely clear.
That being said, can you focus on the high value activities and not as much time on your hobby?
Wait a minute.
Mr. I want a beach house.
Right. No, I want an investment property. I scratched the beach house. I want another investment property to take that revenue and do something else with. Anyway. But you have to see how you remove yourself from the equation. If you don't, then that's fine. But just be prepared to say you're going to be doing that for whatever length of time you want to be involved. You want to do that thing, whether, I don't know, it's making crafts, whatever it is, like making homemade dolls, whatever it is, until you figure out, is there going to be assembly line? Or is it just going to be me doing it in my spare time and making this extra money on the side, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But no, there's a difference between the two.
So as I was saying, discipline is critical if you want to win. Focus your time on those high value activities. And then whenever possible, delegate the low value activities to someone else, whether it's a virtual assistant, whether it's a relative, whether it's somebody that you pay to come in on a part-time basis, whatever. Pay for that, because your time is what is worth a lot more. One of the things that's a very high value in many businesses is sales. So do you have a sales process? Do you have something that you can repeat on a ongoing basis to get you the sales results that you want? If you don't, get a sales coach. I want to give a shout out to my girl, Maya Haradat. She has some amazing sales challenges and can help you get your mind right when it comes to sales. And we're here in the summer, so a lot of people have taken off, but know that business doesn't stop just because it's summer. What are you saying, soft? I'm
taking off in the summer.
Whatever. Sometimes people want to spend time with their kids. Don't be mad.
I'm not, but I'm just saying, don't complain.
You're calling them soft. Don't say that they're soft. Just say that you would make different choices. That's what it is.
If you're telling me you're in it to win it and you're in it to build a business, I don't want to hear.
Okay.
You're soft. I'm sorry if your feelings are hurt. You're soft. People, like, how many people run around talking about, or tweeting or putting on Facebook or Instagram, blah, blah, I'm building generational wealth. I have friends and family who I hear say that recklessly. And I'm like, you are not building generational wealth. Because every fucking time I see you or I hear you on the phone or you FaceTiming, you talking about some you lollygagging doing. Do you know what building generational wealth is? Like, that's having a ridiculous amount of money that for at least the next 3 to 4 generations, they could go buck wild and do nothing and still won't spend all the damn money. You know what it takes to build some like that? And people are just recklessly, yeah, I'm going to build generational wealth. You ain't building generational wealth and your ass is always going out. I'm sorry. You're not building generational wealth and your ass is on spring break. I'm sorry. You're just not. You're like, oh, I'm going skiing and Aspen with my friends.
There's a thing called balance. There's a thing called unplugging. No. Everybody doesn't have to burn out like you.
You know what? Listen, there is balance, right? But if you talking about doing, like, you talking about the Olympians, ask me how many times they go eat at McDonald's. Ask me how many times they just sit around
eat at McDonald's and watch because they working at McDonald's to help pay.
Ask them how many times they sit around and just do Netflix and chill. Ask them how many times they be like, you know what? I'm not going to work out today. They got a routine and they stick to it and they sacrifice and they put in the work and they get the results. Most people just don't want to do it. They know what they need to do. They don't want to do it. People say they want to be healthy and lose weight. You know what? This ain't rocket science. You know what you got to do? You eat right and you go work the out. But people don't want to do sit-ups. You know why? Because they're hard.
Let me clarify one thing.
So they say, you know what? I'm just going to think about doing sit-ups. The secret don't work that way. You just can't be like, oh, I'm thinking about I'm going to have a six-pack. It don't work that way. You know what you got to do. People just don't want to do it. They don't want to sacrifice shit.
Let me clarify one thing.
Balance is not it.
If you have a routine, that routine doesn't have to take up all your time. You can set aside.
What type of routine do they have?
Like, say, for example, I'm talking about sales.
If you got a routine when you get home and you just sit on the couch and turn on TV and veg out, that might not be a good routine if you're trying to lose weight.
Can I make a point?
Go for it.
Put your soapbox away because we don't have that much time left.
Listen, it's commerce and chill.
So when it comes to sales, if you have a routine, it doesn't have to be 24 hours a day.
I'm not saying that.
If you set aside enough time on a consistent basis, say, for example, when we have better sales results, I say I'm going to call 5 clients every day between 9 and 10:30. I say that I'm going to spend between 11 and 12 sending follow-up emails and writing notes. And then I say I'm going to spend between 12 and 1 of reaching out and cold calling prospective new clients, or passing that information to an assistant and having them do that for that time. Yep. It doesn't have to be 24 hours a day because I still have other things that I need to complete.
Okay.
The key is to have a routine.
A good routine.
A good routine.
That makes sense for what you're trying to do.
To implement it on the regular, to track your results.
Aren't you the one that says practice doesn't make perfect?
No, practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect.
So you could practice being a Dills and you will always be a Dills. And you'd be like, but I want to be a good person. But you keep practicing being Dills.
So don't be a Dills.
Exactly.
That's
but you have to practice.
Don't be a Dills. You have
to practice the right thing.
And get you a coach like Maya. So keep that in mind.
Shout out to Maya.
Measure the results. So track how many people you call. Track how many people answer. Track how many of those calls lead to follow-up calls. Track how many proposals you send out. What are the amounts of those proposals? What percentage of proposals do you win? Or if you're not in a service business, you don't do proposals, how many sales did you get? How many units did you move? How much income did you have?
Just don't document the process. So you can hand that process off to the next person and they can replicate what you did. So then you can have a team of 2, 3, 4, 5 people doing the same exact thing. And now you know what results to measure to amplify it quicker.
Right. So then you go from the 100, 200, 400 sprint to the relay. You hand the baton off to somebody else.
You build a team.
So as we draw the comparison between winning in business and the Olympics, there are a couple of quotes I'd like to leave you with. The Olympic model, Citius, Altius, Fortius, meaning faster, higher, stronger, was proposed by Pierre de Coubertin in 1894 and has been the official motto of the Olympics since 1924. Why are you making that face?
I'm just like, better, faster, stronger. Is this the Bionic Man? Is Steve Austin going to run across the screen right now?
Mr. Coubertin
a throwback for some of you. You don't know who that is.
Say, the most important thing in the Olympic Games is not to win, but to take part. Just as the most important thing in life is not the triumph, but the struggle. The essential thing is to not have conquered, but to have fought well. So in your business, make sure that you're fighting, and that will increase your chances of victory.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, like that, that motto saying, that's cool. But the most...
And to make it a little bit more relevant for those, who are into track and field, historic runner Jesse Owens, well, he was multifaceted in his athletic abilities. He said, we all have dreams, but in order to make dreams come into reality, it takes an awful lot of determination, dedication, self-discipline, and effort. So I want you to think about that every day when you wake up and start working in your business. Are you putting forth that determination, dedication, self-discipline, and effort?
You could partake in the game. The question is, are you trying to win? Because if you're not trying to win, why are you even getting in the game? Like, if you getting on the field and you're not trying to win, you just might as well sit in the stands and watch the game. Like, get some popcorn, get a drink, and just be a spectator. Don't get on the field and screw it up for everybody else who putting in the hard work, who putting in the sweat, who want to get the results. Like, don't get on the balance beam before me if you're not trying to put in the work, because you're not going to put the chalk on your hands or whatever. Like, I don't need you. Just get that bad karma away. Get that juju away from. Don't even get near the balance beam, because when I want it clean, I want it fresh. I don't want somebody up there. Because the other thing is, too, you not stepping up the energy for the people around you. So imagine being on a team and you going out on the field to win, and the other person's like, yeah, I just want to participate. I want the participation trophy, but the rest of the team want to win the championship.
Yeah, well, that's not the Olympics.
What do you mean that's not the Olympics?
People don't go to the Olympics and like, I want a participation trophy. They show up.
Well, I'm saying based on this quote. So the most important thing is to participate, not to win.
But did you read the whole thing, what he said?
I get that. I'm talking about for business, though. I just took that first part. I'm just saying.
No, you got to take things in their full context. There you go, breaking the rules.
That's what you do.
That's not what you do.
You break the mold.
You break the mold. You don't break the rules.
Well, sometimes you got to change the rules. This is how it is in business. It's hard. It's rough. But is there a reward if you get it right and you do all the things you need to do? Yes, there is. But you got to have the patience, the dedication, and the grit to push through that to get to the other side.
That's what Jesse Owens said.
I don't know. That's
what Jesse Owens said.
Okay, well, there you go. Like, Jesse's right. And look at Jesse Owens. He put in the work. He stayed dedicated. He, persevered. He went through a lot of stuff, and it was a different time than it is than now. But he went through all that, and look what he accomplished.
Greatness. Greatness. We want you to be great, not just in your personal life, but in your business. So thank you for coming to Commerce and Chill. We ask that you come back and see us soon. Hit us up in the DMs, like, subscribe, and we'll see you soon. And Mr. Cope has a message that he needs to check.
Wait, somebody from the production room is sending me a message. Let me check it real quick. And stay tuned. I'm just going to read what they told me to say because I'm going to screw it up if I try and do it off the top of my dome. So they told me to say, at the end, say, stay tuned. And next week, wait, what the does it say? Tune in next week on our Twitter feed at 11 a.m. for live tweets of the Commerce and Chill podcast. Ask us some questions. We'll post the questions you ask ahead of time and we'll answer them. You can get in conversation. Who knows what it might lead to? Then you can get on. We can do a Facebook Live. We can do an Insta Live. You can ask questions during Commerce and Chill. And guess what? You might even be a guest on an episode of Commerce and Chill. Do it video. You don't have to be here. We understand COVID-19. You could do it video. You could be on. We could talk about a lot. You could even call in. Espinosa's giving me the call-in signal right now.
No, he's giving you the cut-in signal.
No, he's giving me the thumbs up to say, keep going. You could even call in. Hey, I don't know. If you become on an episode of Commerce and Chill, guess what? The next episode might get 30 views instead of 20 because your 10 friends view it too. So come on to Commerce and Chill and let's all grow together.